Welcome to DataViz Daily. I'm Kevin McGinley, and in the last episode I showed you how to install a custom visualization into Oracle Data Visualization Desktop. Today I'm going to show you how to install a custom R script into Oracle Data Visualization Desktop. And we're going to use the one here from the OracleBI Public Store, which I talked about in the last episode. This is a collection of sort of free downloads that you can put into Oracle Data Visualization Desktop. I'm going to download the sentiment analysis one. This is, if you recall a couple episodes back, I used exploratory their R function to generate a text sentiment off of the 2000 general election debate data. We'll use this one, which is a different R function, to do the same. So, when you click on this, it gives you the sort of description and the deployment instructions here. I'll actually walk you through those instructions. If you go ahead and do the click here for more details, this opens up a website where there's a blog post specifically about this one, sentiment analytics. And I'm going to assume that if you're using Oracle Data Visualization Desktop that you've already gone ahead and installed the advanced analytics capabilities using the Start menu installer here. I've already done that, so I don't need to run that step again. You would go ahead and click here to download the file. I've already downloaded it, so I'm not going to go ahead and download it again. And the next thing that we need to do in the instructions here is actually install an R package to get that sentiment library into our environment. And the line that you're going to need is right here for the most part, unless you're behind some sort of proxy server from a firewall perspective. Maybe in a corporate setting you would need to do this and set your proxy host and a port number, but for the most part you can just run this install packages function. So I'm just going to copy this, and where you're going to install that or run that is in the R GUI environment. So this should be a shortcut right on your desktop. After you run the advanced analytics functions, you can click on that, launch the R GUI here, and then it's just as simple as pasting that in here to install those packages. Basically, it's going to go out to this specific website and download it. This particular sentiment is not available from the standard package list. If you select your cram mirror that you're going to look at and load all the packages, this one won't appear. You have to actually go from this site directly. So that is something that was updated in the instructions. So if we run this, it's going to connect to the URL. It's going to download it. It's going to install it and say done. And then we don't need to do anything more there. So the next step in the process is to take the zip file and grab the XML and put it in the DB Desktop installation directory where the script repository exists. So let's go ahead and go to our downloads first, and we'll unzip this. So we'll extract it, and I'll go ahead and extract it to that subfolder so we can just focus on the two files that we get with this. The first one is the XML file. The second one is a DV project that you can import into your Oracle Data Visualization Desktop environment. Before we do anything with this file, let's go ahead and take a look at it quickly so you can see what one looks like. So you can see here that we're identifying a record ID and a series of text as inputs, and then we've got a record ID and a sentiment as output. The sentiment is going to be in varchar 20. So the way this one is a little bit different than the prior sentiment that I worked with, which actually gave a numeric score. If you remember, 0 was sort of the neutral, positive number was a positive sentiment, negative number was a negative sentiment. This is actually going to give a textual output, as you'll see once we build a DB project with it. So you can see here down further then, here is the actual sort of R code that runs. It grabs the R sentiment library and it runs this particular R code to generate the sentiment results. So we're going to go ahead and take that file, and I'm just going to go ahead and copy it here in Windows, and we're going to paste it in a particular directory. Now I'm going to go to my program files directory and Oracle Data Visualization Desktop where that is installed, and we want the Oracle BI1 directory. That's where we're going to go into our BI Foundation. There's an Advanced Analytics subfolder, and here is our script repository. So if we just go ahead and paste that file here, we can now call this file using the evaluate script function within Oracle Data Visualization Desktop. We just need to pass it the proper information. How do we know what information to pass it? Well, it was in that XML file, but another way that we can look at it is to go ahead and launch Data Visualization Desktop, which I'm going to go ahead and do now. Oops, not the store. Go ahead and launch Data Visualization Desktop. Oh, I don't have it pinned down there, so let me go ahead and minimize some of these windows. Sorry, I usually have a shortcut there. So we'll go ahead and launch it. Take a couple seconds. And so when you install that XML file, you definitely are going to want to do it with Data Visualization Desktop closed. May not be absolutely necessary, but always a good idea anytime you're installing any kind of plugins or putting any scripts in the script directory to have Oracle Data Visualization closed. Because as you can see here, it does a number of things as it loads up the tool. And so anytime you're going to install anything extra into the tool, it's a good idea to have it closed so it can start fresh with that information in there. So as we get loaded up here, we'll be able to import that project that we saw before, that we downloaded as part of the zip file. So I'm going to come here to import, and I'll select that file, go out here to my downloads, go into that sentiment analysis, pick the one that we're talking about, and we'll click import. Has a password on it. The directions say the password is admin123, capital A admin123. So after this project loads, this is going to load both a data source and a couple visualizations that are already preset on the canvas. The key thing that we're going to get out of this is the sort of example calculation for how to use this particular package within our own DB project. So I've gone ahead and imported that project. Now I'm going to open it. And as it loads up all the visualizations here, VM is a little underpowered, so it takes a little bit longer to open some of these up. And you can see in our data source, customer reviews, we've got a review ID, number of reviews, product category, and feedback. And it's this feedback that they're doing the sentiment analysis on. You can start to see here from some of the visualizations that are painting. We have negative, neutral, positive, sarcasm, very negative, very positive as the different sentiments that get sort of labeled and scored. And now that this is loaded, we can go in here and look at this sentiment calculation. So we've got evaluate scripts. We're pointing to the file repository, and we're using the r.sentiment.xml. And we're passing in a bunch of parameters and ultimately two columns, the review ID and the feedback. So we're looking for some sort of key value and then the text itself. So I'm going to go ahead and grab this part and copy that, because that's the part that's going to stay consistent for the most part for every time you use this particular script. So I'm going to go ahead and hit cancel here. I've copied that. I'm going to go back to home, and I'm going to go into the data set that I used before that I created another sort of text sentiment column on around the election debate. So I've used this in prior episodes. And I can go ahead and create a calculation that is the R sentiment. And I'll go ahead and paste the first part of that. Now I need my corresponding rec ID and text value, which in my case is this sequence that I created. And then the text that we're going to evaluate is just this plain text. And we need to put a parenthesis at the end. We'll validate it. Calculation validated. Hit save. And so now I can sort of use this and compare it to, you know, some of the text sentiment scores that I had with the other R package that calculated sentiment from exploratory. So I'm going to go ahead and select that and the R sentiment. Let's go ahead and add them to a table. Excuse me, a little bit of a sore throat here. And what you're going to see is for every line sequence number, you'll see the text sentiment score as well as the R sentiment score. Now, again, these are two different sentiment packages, so they're not necessarily always going to agree, which you can see right off the bat here in the first line. The numeric score being above 0, that is indicating a positive sentiment, where this one here calculated as a very negative. Now, as it turns out, we could even drop a speaker in here and see what's going on. And this is where we can start to look at, you know, what types of lines does each sentiment scoring sort of do well with. And one thing that you can see here is that the moderator is the one speaking here. And even though this got a sort of positive score here, a negative score here, you know, we've got another instance down here where it agrees, another instance down here where a mild, you know, almost neutral sentiment got labeled as sarcasm. And as you kind of go down through here, you see a lot of sarcasm from the moderator. So this particular sentiment score maybe have a hard time with sort of identifying some of the, you know, statements from someone like a moderator versus, you know, someone like one of the candidates. So sometimes it agrees, sometimes it doesn't, and what would be interesting to do here is to actually sort of compare these two and try to understand, okay, well, when, you know, do you have, you know, pretty strong disagreement between the two, and could you go in and look at and try to assess yourself which one is more typically right than the other. That might lend you to use one particular package over the other. At this point, I'm not going to make the sort of assertion as to which one is right and which one isn't, but just to note that, you know, assessing sentiment on text is not always an exact science, obviously, and so, you know, using multiple approaches to doing that might lead to different results. But regardless, this shows you how, you know, we used a whole other tool in our sort of data wrangling to assign that sentiment score, used our completely different R package installed directly into Oracle Data Visualization Desktop, allows us to calculate it on the fly. So that's installing additional R scripts and calling them within Oracle Data Visualization Desktop for DataViz Daily. I'm Kevin McGinley. Thanks for watching.